What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a video slash tutorial on I'm just gonna poke around with the trigonometric function. And if you won't believe that trigonometric function, we can put that function into Python programming tutorial series like that. So my my work is actually to simplify that what kind of topic we're gonna learn about it today, and why is actually it useful. um, I'm sorry, actually my tea is getting cold and I have to speak really a little bit quickly. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get on to it. So first of all, what is a trigonometric function? So in mathematics, so let's talk about the trigonometry. Let's go a little bit of websites and let's try to find out the knowledge. So trigonometry is a branch of mathematics that studies relationships between side lengths and angles of triangles. So this was actually um taught. It was actually taught to us when I was in, I can say, 8th or ninth standard, but I used to never like this kind of maths or something like. But when I saw one program like this, which can actually give you the output like a um, very imaginary way, I was surprised. I was like, one. You can say one expression came into my mind. I was, wow. Nothing else. Okay, so yeah, that wasn't funny at all. I think so. You also didn't laugh at it. Okay, so so this was a chart which was actually which is a color map. And if you see, there are multiple colors. One is the red, one is this one saffron or blue. It has a lot of multiple colors which are actually mixed up with red and blue, and I don't understand. So trigonometry is actually all about angles, triangles, squares, brackets, and all that stuff. So in this, there are, I can say, four kinds of values which I actually use. One is sine, one is cos, one is tan, one is like co. There are tons of values which are actually used. And if you're familiar that what kind of functions or theories or what kind of this is actually used, so the main of this trigonometry is from the guy named Hipparchus. Okay, so Hipparchus is actually the inspiration of this trigonometry values. So he brought it all of the functions, and it gives us the answer in squares and all of that stuffs, circles and all, and then it's done with that bracket and 2 raised to 3 and sine of that, all of that cos. So there are lots of functions. There's sine, cos, tan, c, cos, cot, like that. All kind of stuffs are used to calculate any kind of trigonometric function. Okay. Okay. And then after that we have other values. So these values are like which this arsen is actually used for calculating minus or plus 90-degree triangle. The other one, arcosine, is actually used for calculating 0 to 180 degree. Okay, and the arctan numbers are actually minus 90 degree, less than y, or it's less than 90 degree. Okay, plus 90 degree. Okay, so so to calculate all of these stuffs, it takes you around a lot of weeks, a lot of days, a lot of hours. And to do something creative, you need to have a knowledge. Yeah, you have to. It takes a lot of efforts to learn about one, I can say, one calculations, or you can say multiple calculations. Okay, because why am I saying like this, all of this stuff? Because I have never learned this kind of sine cos, because the way I know that these kind of trigonometrical values were begin at 10th, and I directly jumped onto the commerce education, but due to learning about human bodies or something like that, I actually jumped onto the arts like that. Okay, so there are lots of inspirations which are actually used to calculate all of these trigonometrical functions. So in this there are multiple kinds of charts which are actually used for trigonometrical function. One is for tan. So tan is actually is from minus to plus, and then over here also it has a degree like from um 3 by 2 theta. Yeah, theta. uh, if I'm correct, this kind of sign is actually theta. uh, let's see. Theta, trigonometric. Okay, so that's symbol. Okay, so theta, yeah, this is actually a theta. Because uh, theta is actually, I got to know, I just remember right now that theta's, yeah. So let's see, sigma parallel and theta, sigma determinant of max A, and okay, let's find about theta. Okay, so theta is like a zero with a line, with a straight line like this from um it's not a straight line, but it's between those two lines like this. Let me just bring it to you a little bit of closer. So here it is. So this is the theta, and what is which is that function which we just now? Okay, let's just talk about those. Let's talk about that later. First of all, let's understand about theta and all of that, because okay, so this is a pi. This is a pi. Yeah, this is a pi, and so the way it is calculated, it's like a little bit different, a little bit um very difficult to understand. But yeah, I will not say very difficult, right? Very difficult, but to learn about trigonometric, you have to have the knowledge of maths. Without knowledge of math, it's not actually, that's not necessary that you can learn in single very one day. That's not a nobody has got that miracle like that. Okay, that was not funny. It wasn't funny. Sorry. So the trigonometric circle is like this. So it's having uh, a circle with two lines which are actually used in a compass. Yeah, in a compass. Yeah, and there's having those qubits with 0 and 1. Actually, I think so. By qubit, I got to know you. Did you remember I just talked about with you for quantum physics, like that stuff? So these are actually useful for so these are actually having those two qubits, and then there are having tons and tons of that. One is mnemonics, unit circle, trigonometric values, powers, inverse, graphs, calculating trigonometric functions, or the trigonometric functions, astronomy, navigation, serving. Yeah, so there are tons of things which are which they are actually very uh, I could say really interesting about these trigonometric values. So if those if you have seen those experts, those who were really very expert in the trigonometry, they do the calculations, I can say, too, it's massive, yeah. So the calculations of them is very massive, and I can say the way they love math so much that I can say almost one book is over. Yeah, yeah, really, that one book is over, and that's really amazing. Yeah, and so the problem with trigonometric is that to understand is quite a bit difficult, but the good thing about trigonometric is that you can actually learn about those functions and what's that function actually used for, what's the role of that function, and why we use that function. Okay, so let's talk about some sine. So sine is a trigonometric function of an acute angle is defined in the context of a right triangle. For the specified angle, it is the ratio of the length of the side that is opposite that angle to the length of the longest side of the triangle, the hypotenuse. Okay, so let's go in the calculator. Let's jump on to the calculator. Uh, okay. So let me bring you up in the calculator. Yep. So so 2 1x. Okay. So these added help scientific. Okay. So there it is. Sine 2. So sine. Okay. So if you see it, if you can see it very closely, so if I calculate the degree, it's gonna give you the output in a very decimal manner, and it's taking you to the entire. It's calculating the entire value, and it's gonna give me the output very, very, very big. Very, as I can say, it's very huge, or in other words, it's very massive. And the radians, if I calculate the radians, what is so it's same. Um it's not different from any others. Let's clear that, and if I take as cos is equals to cos. Okay, so other one is giving, so it's also showing you tons of numbers like that. And let's move on to the our Python programming tutorial. Okay, so if you're familiar that what is actually um, trigonometric values, I think so. I'm gonna again talk with you about this when if I get very good comments. Otherwise, I think so. This will be the part which is actually over. So so I'm gonna say, so the libraries which are used for calculating trigonometric values is NumPy. So import NumPy as np. From NumPy dot trigonometric import values. See if I can get that. Okay, so this is not supported, so I'm gonna say from NumPy import trigonometry. Let's see. So this is not supported. Import sine, cos, tan. Let's see. Okay, so this is supported. Now I'm gonna say from NumPy import calculator. So to calculate all of these values, I'm gonna use math. Okay, so then I'm gonna say sine 2 into cos 8. Let's see. Okay, so here we are. So you have one example like this, that um, what kind of these values, how they are calculated, uh, and why is actually useful. So if you are familiar right now, this is a basic trigonometric function. And if just let me take the example as uh, tan. Let's see, if I take as tan h, what is the value? So tan h is not defined, and then I'm gonna say tan h. Let's see if I can get it. Okay, so tan h. So okay, so if you have noticed, so tan is actually giving you the output in a very less inverse variables, and tan h is going from the other procedures, and it's going to show you from 2 to the power of other um, values. Okay, so this is the role of trigonometric values. And if you are actually um, very much educated about that, why we use trigonometric functions, or what is like that. And if I tell you if I tell you from my opinion, the school which I study, over there, maximum people have taken science. Yeah, maximum people have taken science, and over there, the maths is really, really hard, and it's going to take you in such a way. I mean to say that, let's say if you're going to write a value, let's say um 2 into 8. Suppose like that. That's a very beginner level. But suppose if you're writing that kind of level, it's so high that values are so hard that if you and I was sat down and just say that okay, let's talk about trigonometric functions, I'm gonna guarantee you that you're gonna sleep. Yeah, so it's so different. It's very hard and it's very difficult. But there is a difference of those two maths between the chartered accountant and um, for those people, those who take science. And if you're familiar about, if you have anybody is educated in science, you might notice that there is another subject called a CS. As you know, what is that? CS is computer science, and science also has those calculations which are also actually, like, let's say if you and I sat down and just talk about that, okay, minus 2 into 0.08844, like that kind of functions like that, and then you are gonna stuck up in such a problematic way that you will think like, where am I? Okay, it's not funny, but to understand about that, what why we use this one a trigonometric function or like that, I will say that if you are capable of doing, it's very easy for you. Or if you're not, then it's up to you. You can do that. Yeah, but those who are actually um those who have the capability to do, yeah, for you trigonometric is there. But if you're saying that's very hard, then you're gonna then you leave it. Or either you have two options: either you can take commerce or arts. It's very easy. But if you know about psychology or like that, for you arts is very easy, and it's very, I can say, not it is not going to take you an hour or time to understand about those. So let's mark down. I'm going to say, if trigonometric is not your cup of tea, then you leave it. Okay. Okay. Then I'm gonna say import numpy as np. So now I'm gonna say from numpy import um, symbols, and I'm gonna say import math. Let's see if that's available. So there's no kind of a function like this which is actually named as symbols. So let's see numpy attributes. Okay, so it's very different from all of the programmers. No, it's not easy. And if it was easy, then I would have said you, come on, let's talk about this. Okay. Okay, for trigonometry. So construct an array. Okay. The real part of the array, the imaginary part of the array. Okay, so to calculate the axis, then I'm gonna say from numpy import argmax. Okay, so argmax is there, and then I'm gonna say argmax equals to 2 into 2 into pi into cos sine. Okay, 2 into cos cos into 3 slash sin. Okay, interior object is not callable. 2.5. Okay, 0.8. Okay, so I'm gonna say uh, I'm gonna say argmax equals to math dot pi 2 into sin. Okay. So the axis is not valid. I'm gonna say. Okay, so import sin, cos, and tan. Okay, and I'm gonna say import math. So math dot pi. I'm gonna say 2. Okay, so math dot pi is the range. Math dot cos. Okay, so if you if you have important math over here, then if you see it closely, it's not going to calculate those kind of trigonometric values which are actually um, stored inside this Python. So I'm gonna say um, uh, sine minus b equals to sine slash cos sine cos b minus causes sine b. Sine 2 into cos plus b. Let's see. Come on. Ah! Cos plus 6.5 sine um uh 3 into cos 6. Okay, so it's giving me the output in a plus